Okay, so let's talk about a show that, on paper, should have been an absolute smash hit. I mean, you've got a hero we're all rooting for, a clear-cut villain, and a mission for justice. It was basically a can't-miss, guaranteed-to-go-viral recipe for success. So why in the world did Love, Con, Revenge, the show that was supposed to be the follow-up to the Tinder Swindler, just completely fall flat? That's exactly what we're going to break down.
I mean, this is the entire hook, right? This is the question that's supposed to pull you in. It's such a powerful idea. We love stories where the tables get turned, where the person who was wronged finally gets to stand up and fight back. The whole show was built on this promise, turning a victim into an avenger.
And they had the perfect hero for it. If you saw the Netflix phenomenon The Tinder Swindler, then you definitely know Cecilie Fjelhøy. She was right at the heart of that story, a woman who lost an insane amount of money to this incredibly slick romance scammer. Her story of being conned just resonated with millions, which made her the ideal protagonist for this new chapter of redemption.
So the stage was set. You've got the hero we all know and love, and you've got a clear mission. Let's dig into what this show was actually supposed to be about.
The concept itself was pretty brilliant, you have to admit. Cecilie, who's now become this advocate for victims, teams up with a private eye, and together, their mission is to help other people who've been scammed. They're hunting down these con artists, they're digging up evidence, and they're fighting for some kind of justice. It's empowering, it's dramatic, it taps right into that feeling of wanting to see the bad guys finally get what they deserve. It should have been a total slam dunk.
Yeah, but it wasn't at all. Even with all those perfect ingredients, the show was just a huge letdown for pretty much everyone, critics and audiences alike. So where did it go so wrong? Well, the cracks started showing almost right away.
Okay, so the first big issue was the pacing. The Guardian really hit the nail on the head here. The whole idea just felt stretched way too thin. Instead of this tight, suspenseful investigation, the series just got, well, repetitive. You felt like you were watching the same thing over and over. And all that dramatic tension just kind of fizzled out.
And this right here, what MovieWeb pointed out, this was the show's fatal flaw. It just felt so staged. The whole true crime genre lives and dies on feeling authentic. But this show felt like the complete opposite. The conversations seemed scripted. The big confrontations felt totally orchestrated. It was just too rigid, and it completely broke the illusion that you were watching something real.
And look, this wasn't just some highbrow critique. Regular people watching at home felt it too. This comment from a Reddit user says it all. The phone calls were just cringy. They were so unnatural. That feeling that the whole investigation was just cooked up for the cameras, it shattered everything. People weren't just bored. They were actively turned off by how fake it all seemed.
So when a show fails this badly, you have to ask a bigger question. Was this just, a poorly executed idea? Or does it actually tell us something a little deeper about what we, the audience, really want from stories about revenge, especially when it comes to reality TV and true crime?
To figure that out, let's zoom out for a second and look at a pretty common trope that might shed some light on this whole thing. The female revenge fantasy, which plays out all the time in a very specific corner of television. This actually came up in a really interesting online discussion. Think about the reunion episodes of those big reality dating shows. So often they become this stage for the women to just unload on the men who did them wrong, and they're usually cheered on by their girl gang of fellow cast members. We see it as this moment of empowerment, right? But as people pointed out, if you flip the genders, a man behaving that way would probably be condemned. It highlights this really complex, kind of weird double standard we have for how we watch revenge play out on screen.
And this just perfectly nails the core issue with Love, Con, Revenge. One commenter put it better than I ever could. The best revenge is a life well lived. See, when revenge feels like it's being performed for an audience, when it feels scripted and produced instead of being a real, raw, emotional moment, it just rings hollow. It's not satisfying. The show felt like a performance of getting justice, not the real thing. And that brings us to the #1 non-negotiable golden rule of the true crime genre today. It doesn't matter how insane the story is. It has to, absolutely has to, feel real.
This comparison really says it all. On one hand, you have a show like Worst Ex Ever, where viewers are saying their jaw was on the floor every single episode. It was unfiltered, the emotions were raw, and the events were genuinely shocking. And then you have Love, Con, Revenge. Here, even the moments that should make you angry felt muted and detached. The audience was kept at a distance by how artificial it all was, and when you don't have that genuine emotional connection, the story just has zero impact.
So here's the bottom line. There is a very, very fine line between dramatizing a true story to make it more engaging and creating something that feels like you're just straight up deceiving the audience. And unfortunately, Love, Con, Revenge tripped right over that line.
When you really look at it, the failure of this show basically teaches us the unwritten rules for this type of TV. Rule 1, the stakes have got to feel real. We have to actually believe these people are in danger. Rule 2, the emotions have to be genuine. The second we hear scripted dialogue, we're out. And Rule 3, the justice has to feel earned. Real satisfaction comes from watching someone overcome a real challenge, not a fake one cooked up by a production team.
So in the end, it really is that simple. The idea behind Love, Con, Revenge was a great one. A survivor taking her power back and fighting for other people, that is a story we all want to see. But the way they executed it completely failed to deliver the one thing that matters most in this genre: authenticity.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty big, lingering question. Not just for this one show, but for this entire genre that we are all clearly obsessed with. As an audience, we want stories that are both true and entertaining. But in trying to get that balance right, where do we, and the people making these shows, draw the line between telling a powerful story and just faking one?